Welcome to Momentum Monday. Today is June 11th, 2023. Howard, how was the movie debut?
You know
Last
what?
night?
It's very exciting. I don't think I can't imagine I would participate in another movie as deeply as I did this, but very exciting. This is not financial advice. Our goal is hopefully to be picked up by one of the streamers. And the feedback at the movie was great. Tribeca's an amazing experience, and it was a fantastic day. Thank you, man.
Great.
Yeah.
I mean, I would hope to see it at some point when
Me
I
too. I mean,
when I
at
come
some
back.
point, if we can't sell it to a streamer, we would put it on iTunes for people or YouTube. So,
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah.
yeah, by August, I think if it doesn't sell by August, we come up with a plan to sell it through iTunes or ads on YouTube.
Good. Now let's talk about the market. I think, one of the major definitions of a bull market is the bull market correct through sector rotation. And last week we saw exactly that. On the days when the large caps would pull back, small caps would rally, and vice versa. So we're definitely seeing that rotation and kind of negative correlations between small caps and large caps. Obviously, keep in mind that in the past few days, we started to see a little bit of, maybe not a little bit, but a lot of fraud in the market. Every time when you see like really big laggards rallying, that's usually right before we see a pullback. So we had like Beyond Meat and GME and Blue Apron, like all of those dogs. They just once in a while they pop up and they go back down. Usually when we see that, usually that's a sign of really frothy market. And considering that the FOMC meeting is on Wednesday and monthly option expirations is on Friday, I would not be surprised if we see some form of just a quick shakeout, just to remind people that trading and investing is not easy, and there are a lot of traps along the way.
Yeah.
What's your take?
Well, there's a lot of stuff to digest, right? I think the biggest thing is tech has had a good run. Why? They have earnings. The big tech companies have had a good run because, first of all, the numbers are staggering. Apple sells, Apple is a mix of LVMH and Hermes, and obviously Apple itself is a brand plus technology and very vertically integrated, and they're going to have their own AI chips, right? So they touch on everything that's working other than the degenerate economy. But in a way, because of the App Store, they are DraftKings and Vendo. They take a rake off pretty much the degenerate. So they're taking their rake off the degenerate economy. They have the Apple Wallet. They are banking now. They are holding deposits. I mean, to be honest, if you're own more, like I said, if you own more than the top 10 stocks in the country that are performing well, maybe you're over diversified. Like if you own more than Apple, you might be over diversified. Obviously, that blows my mind because I used to say Google should be your tech ETF, but in a world where now tech, if you want to diversify out of tech and into fashion, really, if Apple bought a couple of liquor companies and a vaping business, uh, they would probably be the only stock that I would recommend people should own. Much like a lot of people own Berkshire Hathaway. And by the way, if you pull up Berkshire Hathaway, I think it's at 52-week highs. And aren't the banks supposedly a shitty business?
It's not just a bank; they own so many businesses. So
No, but you know what I mean. In a world that Berkshire Hathaway's done so well, being a financial company, is it could Tim Cook and whoever's next not run a business that's chart looks the same way? And why are we even bothering with ETFs than if owning Apple? So if Berkshire Hathaway is a perfect representation of financial, Apple may be with now banking, may be the perfect growth idea for the modern Berkshire. I used to say that about Google.
Mhm.
but AI might anyways, that's what's going on.
What's
The
your
other thing
take on
that's going on,
Apple's new product, the
yeah,
Vision Pro?
well, it's an incredible fashion product. But Ivan, let's now pull up the IPO index. So I'm fascinated by this because there is a lack of supply. Like the companies aren't going public. So at some point that will change. And that chart, oh, where are we at? Yeah, this is the one that I followed. Okay, and so that is interesting to me because it's not run by a person per se, like a degenerate Kathy Wood. There's a process to this, right? And we've basically gone nowhere for 6, 7 years. So supply is being sucked out of the system, or the new supply that came in was not good enough or growthy
No.
enough for people to care about. Okay, so if there's going to be a news cycle, the first place this will show up here, and we're not there yet. So a really good market will have IPOs. What's now further in favor of this upswing, even though it's in a way backwards and it's going to upset a lot of people, is that the government has got their eyes set like they did on weed on crypto. So if we were to look at a Coinbase chart, we now know why the company can't bounce. Uh, you know, they can't bounce because the government is is basically treating this like a tobacco company or like a weed company at this point, or like they taught, treated the gambling company. The weird thing here, Ivan, is that they already approved this. So the government is like completely overstepped its boundaries, or at least Gensler has. This has got to be a congressional thing, not an SEC thing, because this is the same SEC that approved this. Okay, so knowing what we know, you could argue and scream at your computer all day or the government, or you can move your money to something that has less headwinds. And that's pretty much everything but crypto. So what I don't understand about crypto is the behavior of smart people thinking that this is going to end anytime soon. America, for whatever reason, and at powers that are much higher than you and I, or Chamath, or David Sachs, or Fred Wilson, or Mark Andreessen, or Chris Dixon have the power over, has said, not only are we against crypto, we are going to look back and figure out who else has been breaking the law. Why would I take fresh money that investors give me and speculate against the government? Right or wrong, I hope people make a fortune, and I hope I'm completely wrong, but you have this agenda to, at least in the United States, stop that back. I think that's really fantastic for Bitcoin and Ethereum long term, because if America hates it, that's going to create demand at some level. And the people that need to get their Bitcoin because the world is ending have an extra reason to get it. But crypto needs network effects. And if you can't grow the network, at some point, Bitcoin will lose volatility and trade more like a commodity and not a growth vehicle. So what's good for Bitcoin and Ethereum is really not great for the people trying to make money in Bitcoin and Ethereum, because we need the US, okay? And then the second thing is, even if you think you're smart enough to invest internationally, if you're set up in the United States thinking that, you really, I think, are lying to yourself. It is a whole different world to deal in international business. I also think if you want to be in private markets, the US market's the best place to be, because that's where corp dev happens. That's where all the visionaries are. And, if you got a struggling company in Poland or in Czechoslovakia, it's not as easy to do corp dev. So again, I hate to say it, but like, if you're speculating in shit coins and in stuff that the SEC doesn't like, I think you move your money. This is why I think these are good things for the actual stock market, because people will have less choices. The speculators will have less choices. I think it's super good for gambling, because somehow gambling, which in many ways is so awful for the behavior that it's going to create amongst athletes, gamblers, addiction, is basically got a green light and no one cares. So, skate to where the puck is going. The investors that in the private markets, and I know a few that have been spent the last 3 years investing in gambling infrastructure, I'm a little bit jealous. They are the new owners of the degenerate economy. And while we were out there speculating on weed and on crypto, DraftKings is and MGM bets in the casinos and IGT broke out of like this company like was left for the dead. How do if you saw a chart like that and you see a chart like Coinbase, I'll tell you where the fresh money is going to go, right? So, so again, don't take it personally, but you've got to use your eyes and ears and follow the price and not the headlines. It's not whether Gensler's right or overreaching or if you love him or you hate him. It just is. And I ain't fighting that at this point. And in
Yeah,
fact,
yeah,
Ivan, I think it could get worse. If you have a Coinbase account, what are you going to argue? Oh, I'm not worried if Gensler shuts it down. Like, what, I've told some friends like that call me and ask for advice. I'm like, I'm not pulling a little bit of my little bit of money out of Coinbase, but if that's all your crypto money, yeah, you should. The whole point is to learn to have stored it anyways off the network. So you should put it in off the network. Why are you holding it in a centralized or a decentralized exchange? The whole point of Bitcoin was to make it, censorless and to allow you to permission get it wherever the hell you want. If it's a Coinbase and the government says you can't get it, well, good luck fighting them and tweeting about it and sending emails to your friends complaining about it. But like you've had all the warnings you can. I do think this is my speculation is, Ivan, is that the government, if we were to look at inflation, you and I both see the numbers. It's dropping, is it not?
yeah, it is. Yeah,
It is dropping. Okay. But rates are staying high. And I do think in a normal world, without crypto speculation, the government would already be cutting rates. The Fed would already be cutting rates. And my thinking might be that they're waiting to put a final hammer on a lot of these speculative areas, and weed won't get approved, and crypto will just see nothing but a fight. The other problem I worry about crypto, Ivan, is that like all these people tweeting and whatever and thinking they're important, they're not going to get to the streets and demand their crypto. If you live in America, you don't need crypto other than to play games and speculate. So no one's going to be out there fighting for crypto in the United States. People have other worries, much like marijuana. If you really want marijuana and it was illegal, you smoked it in your home. If you really want crypto, you'll build something great and just maybe good luck. Web3 is a real thing, but you are not going to have the capital that you once had to support you because the capital is going to flight to places where people feel they have less friction. And right now, even gambling has less friction than crypto. And you're seeing that in the stock.
but
So where
that's
else are you
in
seeing?
the US, Howard, because if you talk to younger people in Europe, they don't own Nvidia and Apple and Amazon and Google.
I'm just
They
talking about
trade.
the US, sorry, but unfortunately, I think I'm always talking about the US because if you can't find US investments with 300 million population and a somewhat working government and stock market, you're an idiot. We've said that from the
Yeah,
beginning. Like, so if you have to go off, and by the way, your best proxy for an international tech investment could still be Bitcoin and Ethereum, but you don't have to pay 2 and 20 to get it. And if you really believe in Bitcoin, then go to a YouTube video and watch how to store it properly. You don't have to store it in an exchange. And so I'm not against those. I'm just saying 10 years ago, there were ways to hold Bitcoin that weren't in a decentralized or centralized exchange. That hasn't changed. That's why Bitcoin's still at $27,000.
yeah.
But there probably is a much lower number ahead if the US truly takes it offline. And so the risk reward, I just don't get versus, the risk reward of owning Apple in an up market or, other tech stocks. So I mean, that's just my trying to work it through in my brain. Does it make sense to you at all?
Yeah, it does make sense, but the US is only 5% of the world, and the rest of the world, is still heavy on crypto. So I don't know how it's going to play out. I mean, your guess and my guess are just as good as any. So I'll just let things play out. Personally, I don't own any. Like I just own US stocks.
Yeah, and there goes but that's my point. There's just people will not own it. Like people like you who make markets for people, the people that trade and create liquidity in the system are just not going to be there because it's just the technical headaches are combined with the actual price action is not warranted of it. You need to make money. You're looking for things that are moving.
Yeah.
What else besides tech?
I mean, Tesla is really interesting since GM and Ford announced that they're going to use Tesla's charging stations. It seems like their charging stations are going to become like mainstream. So we saw a big move.
That is that is
They closed
that
back
is
above the.
I just thought that was always priced in. So, assume I got that wrong as usual. It's not a cheap stock, but you assume Ford and GM are they're just not capable of doing what Elon did. He's 10 years ahead of these idiots.
Yeah, yeah.
So I thought that was priced in. Obviously it isn't. So the stock can run a long way. I don't know what people like. I definitely wouldn't have shorted Tesla. It looked like death for the last year. Now it looks too good to be true.
It's coming back out.
No, it's not just coming back up. It looks fantastic. He has free marketing on Twitter. He's loved around the world for his satellites. And now he has a story to tell again. This is a real story that GM and Ford are serious about this, right? That's an American story now,
Yeah.
which is you're not just backing Elon, you're backing GM and Ford. And guess who's good? Guess who spends a lot of money marketing? GM and Ford. So if you are short this, you are nuts. God bless. Could work, but you are now fighting an incredible machine of marketing that's going to spend money, and Tesla won't have to spend a dime on that.
Yeah, they don't need to as of right now.
Yeah.
Maybe 5 years from now.
In essence, I should have bought the stock, but as an ETF owner now, that I own the Qs and the S&P, I own it. Like I can't trade that thing, and I don't know what the bearish case is now. Right, the Y car won the car of the year. The geeks still love it. You're not going to buy it if you're not going to buy it because of its politics. You don't control the market. You're a small percentage of the market, and there's just too much. There's just too much power behind it with GM Ford, and he's got a story. He's a great storyteller. So good on him for pulling that one off.
Yeah,
but I'm sure it was him selling stock in the low, in the mid hundreds not too long ago. So he's definitely torched a lot of his own capital in Twitter and making that deal happen. So the market has a way of, as smart as Elon looks, it also had a way of smack him in the forehead on the way down.
Of course. I mean, he said he regrets selling, but no one's perfect.
Selling because he put himself in a position where he was forced selling.
Yeah. The other big story is still probably the biggest story this year is still AI, and we see new companies mentioning AI on an almost daily basis, and for the most part, they are rallying, and they're all sides of them. It's not just NVIDIA, AMD, and Microsoft and Google. At this point, we're starting to see more and more smaller names joining the rally, and I'm thinking that this will be
I just walked by their offices. Let me look at a monthly on that. What are they? A tech company?
A huge trend for the next
goodness.
Few earnings quarters, when we're going to see more and more companies outside of tech mentioning how they're using AI to optimize. Just because they saw that,
Just another reason why crypto. If you're a crypto company and Gensler's got you in your sights, AI doesn't really help you. You know what I mean? So crypto is quickly pivoting to their own AI stories. But again, be careful where you're speculating right now, people. Like, again, speculation is entertainment at this point in the world. But there are good ways to speculate and bad ways to speculate right now. But anyways, there are so many good setups, Ivan, and there's going to be so many opportunities on a pullback here. I would say the thing that still scares me is rates, and
they're still high, and it seems like the Fed might be willing to keep them high for at least maybe a few more months, just to see if something
will
break.
It's not hurting them.
Yeah,
it's not hurting them. I'm saying they are not. This is why I think they're acting on crypto. It hasn't hurt them. It will hurt. Like, Ivan, if you need to upgrade your home, you can't, because your price of your home triples on the next time you buy a home.
Yeah.
That loan, that is America's wealth is tied up in real estate. So there is to be careful. Like this is not going to be a straight up market. There are the leaders have tremendous balance sheets and are great storytellers and are very diversified businesses, and they were the first to bounce. But like you said, we're already getting into some frothy behavior in the shit companies.
Definitely. I mean, we saw Carvana, Beyond Meat,
Yeah,
GME.
there's no new story here. This is a shitty company that's lied.
No,
It's just been a fraud. So, a 500% rally is fun, but don't kid yourself. There's a
Peloton,
lot of
yeah,
problems
all of
with a
them.
lot of these companies. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Peloton rallied and then just pulled back quickly.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they usually do, pop and then come back. Yeah.
Every time I get on my Peloton, I just am mad at the company because it's like a great product and it doesn't do anything that I want it to do other than like let me spin my wheels,
Mhm.
It's just pathetic. Just pathetic that that's not a software company. All right. I think I've said my piece. Do you have anything
Yeah,
else?
I think that's all. Let's finish with that.
All right. Where are you today?
I just came back from Greece and I'm back in Sofia and I'm going back to Greece in 10 days again. It's really beautiful,
Isn't Greece amazing?
amazing, incredible food. I really like it. Yeah.
Local food, reasonably priced. Government's pretty stable for a rare moment. Great time of the year to be there. But yeah, the food and accommodations are great. Um, I'm going to be I'm going to be at a DraftKings day in Boston. I'm kind of excited to sit with the exec team. I know the CEO. I've had him on the podcast, but I'm spending a day at my first time, maybe since I was a little kid. I don't even remember being. I'm going to be at Fenway Park for DraftKings day and just seeing a lot of sports startups, sitting with the exec team. So I should have some insights there.
That's amazing. We can't
Yeah.
wait to hear.
And then I'll be back in San Diego by the middle of the month. When are you back in San Diego?
July 2nd.
See you then.
All right, see you then.
Bye.
Bye.